Agents Podcast.
Okay, Lab Code Nation, welcome back to another episode of the Lab Code Agents Podcast. And today we're going to go deep with somebody who comes to us from north of the border. We love our Canadian friends, especially in the real estate world. We've got a lot of them. And today we're bringing on Lyndsay Phillips, who is a founder and owner of a business called the Smooth Sailing Business Growth and Real Estate Investors Marketing. She is a content marketing expert and can help you and will help you to convert customers, help you understand how to build a brand on social media, maybe even start a podcast and where to start. So I'm not sure, Lyndsay, where this conversation is going to go today,
It's
but
all good.
I love these topics. So welcome to the show, and excited to have you here. Well, good.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Obviously, I just told them you come from north of the border. So tell us where exactly you are and kind of how you came up in this business and what led you to where you are today.
For sure. So yeah, I'm in just near Toronto, Ontario in Canada. And but all of my clients are American pretty much. And even my team are the American, Philippines, Canadian. We're international, I guess you could say. And then so I started off in the VA space, and learning more about online marketing as I went along. And then just loved content marketing. I loved how it was creative and you can really tap into the mindset of your prospect and just all the different strategies and tactics involved. And it's so creative, right? And so was doing really well with our clients, getting great success, growing their e-list, getting more people on webinars, enrolling in programs. So I hated some of the VA stuff. So I ditched it, rebranded and niched down and had a flood of leads and never turned back. And then, I started to attract a bunch of clients that were real estate investors and just really struggled with marketing, right? I mean, that's like, I couldn't even imagine stepping into the real estate investing space. There's so much to know. And so, yeah, so help them, grow their authority. And because, that field or that industry is expanding so much over the past number of years that you really need to do things a little bit differently to differentiate yourself, stand out as an authority. And a lot of people have like raised up and are becoming like coaches to coach other people on how to be real estate investors. And so, I kind of created that little sub niche in my business to help real estate investors market their business. And I love it.
That's awesome. So when you say the VA business, I'm going to digress for a second. You're talking about virtual assistants?
Correct. So like admin type,
Sure. So
online marketing and admin type stuff.
You were like a middleman to are you kind of subbing that out? What did you have? You have a business? How did that work?
Yeah, so it was just me for the longest time, and then burning the candles at both ends, and you're trading dollars for hours, right? Or hours for dollars. And so brought some team members on and project managed it. And I just didn't like the admin type tasks. And we were starting to do more work involved with content marketing. And so I have account managers, I have, web staff, graphic staff, podcast editors, video editors, you name it. So we're a team now of, I think there's 14 of us.
Wow. Awesome. And so what was the segue that caused the move from admin VA type work over into content marketing? Because I don't see how that, like, how did that blend? How did that happen?
Yeah, that's a good question. So some of the VA work was like, working on like setting up their emails to send out in the back of like Infusionsoft, let's say, or like it was just admin tasks with quotes and onboarding clients and I can't even remember. It's been so long ago, emails, appointments, but we were kind of working on like social media posts and some like forward facing marketing type pieces. And we started doing more and more of that. And the more I did it, the more I enjoyed it. And so learned more about content marketing, obviously, and the power and the strategies behind it. And so sort of leaning into that a little bit more. And I just hated like the general admin type tasks, sales. I didn't want to touch sales type stuff anymore. So just started saying no to those kinds of clients. And just changed my messaging because I even had people that were sort of confused about what I did and didn't do. Messaging is key, by the way, for all entrepreneurs involved. Because if anyone's confused about what you're doing, then they're not going to hire you.
Yeah, 100%. And okay, so you went down this path into content marketing, more specific to real estate investors. And I think it's safe to say that when it comes to, increasing your presence and your reach and creating an authority status, a lot of sales professionals in general struggle with this. And we talk about this all the time in our circles, but this is a constant topic. It's a very passionate topic of mine because I love social media and I love doing this. But getting people out of that comfort zone is extremely difficult. And even more difficult, I feel like realtors are the easiest industry that is accepting of next level strategies, right? And so then you talk to a financial advisor about it, or a real estate investor, or you name it, insurance, whatever. Like they're always behind and they're just not adopting. They're still living in the Stone Ages.
True.
But I still think a large percentage of real estate agents are of that same mindset. They can't get out of their own way. They struggle to overcome this, whatever fear it is. And so you're talking to kind of even the next level down, which is real estate investors, not even realtors. So how did you help these people overcome this, this block, this wall that was holding them back, and start doing the things that you coached them to do? And then tell us about what you would have them do secondarily.
Yeah. So and that's part of the thing, right? Is kind of switching gears on your mindset. And that's honestly, Jeff, why I do a lot of these podcasts, because I just want people to, I want people to succeed, and it doesn't have to be crazy difficult. And outsourcing a lot of it allows you to focus your time on what's needed to like get your deals done and all that kind of stuff. And leave the other stuff to the experts that know what they're doing. It even makes financial sense. And then, so it's shifting your head to like, oh, content marketing is just social media, right? And then social media is annoying. It's a nice to have. It's not a need to have. And that's so they don't make it a priority. And so it always, I'll get to it when I get to it, or it's not really important. But if you think about your business goals and also how competitive the market is right now, and especially with real estate investors, like it's just growing. And even if you think of like notes investing right now and all the opportunities that have been on the market in the past year, like more and more people are getting into it, right? So it's just naturally competitive. So, and being online just even exacerbates that even more. So you do have to make these steps to create more relationships, so people don't just like scroll you by, you know what I mean? You're just part of the noise. You need to stand out as really serving people, helping people, being that the source of credibility and authority in the space so that people trust you. And all those things can be accomplished with social media and content marketing in general. And I always share this story because it's so true. It's like, if you're looking for an accountant, an investor, a real estate agent, whatever, you always go to their website. And if their website sucks and it doesn't explain what they do, if it's all sales oriented, you're like, meh. And then if you go to their Facebook page and they haven't posted in like 3 weeks, and it doesn't even look like their website, you're like, are they even professional? Are they going to be around if I have a problem or an issue? Like, are they reputable? And so those first impressions are absolutely crucial. Yeah. People search on Facebook, they look on your website, they might even look on YouTube. It's all those top searches to figure out, are they worth my time? Aren't they? And then when it comes to content marketing, it's like, people, and we do this all the time, right? If you hear that someone's a speaker on stage, or if you hear that someone has a book or a podcast show, automatically you're like, damn, like they must be somebody, right? They know their stuff. I can rely on them. They're an expert. You automatically think those things. So it automatically up levels you. And that makes it easier to attract your client. It makes it easier to convert them and keep them. and higher your rates, whatever, it is that you're selling or doing.
Mhm.
And then with social media, it's like, it's not just a fun, tool to use and, network with people. I hate that word, networking. Um, it's honestly having conversations and building relationships, and it is sales. So if you think, oh, like if you say, oh, how much do you work on your sales, per week? You think, oh, sales is important, right? I need to spend so many hours, working it, whatever, hustling. Well, you need to spend a good chunk of that time on social because you need to be top of mind. You need to not just approach someone and be like, "Hey, I've got a house for you, come buy it," or whatever it may be. You need to like build that relationship and that level of trust and actually show the people that you give a crap about them and what they're doing and what their issues are.
So there's a lot to unpack with what you just said.
Yeah, sorry, that was a
eh,
lot.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm going to go back. I'm going to rewind and we're going to go away from social for a minute for a couple of reasons. But the first, and part of this goes back to social. And you mentioned in the very beginning, you were talking about, focusing on what you're good at and focusing on that activity and maybe subbing this sort of a thing out. But, it depends who you talk to. But what we've found is that anybody who treats social media like, oh, I know it's important and I know I need to be there, but I don't want to do it. And so what we found is there's 10 billion services that will create content for you. But you're probably going to find you're going to get little or zero results. It's purely fluff content, right? It's clearly not you. And if you're not dialed in, you're not going to be checking notifications and engaging
No.
with your audience and doing that sort of thing. So I think there's a fine line of saying hiring someone to handle this for you. So I'd
Yes.
like you to go back to that and talk about
Totally, and that's a
what you
great
advise.
point.
Yeah,
To
what do you
me,
advise?
yeah, because I get that all the time. Can't you just like monitor it and like respond to stuff and do all the posts? I'm like,
Or I'm going to hire my teenager to do it. I hear this all the
oh
time.
my God, are you serious?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That would kill me. And it's like, yes, we want to support you and it needs to be layered. So you need consistent content that's branded. And so that's the part that we do, right? Like the blogs, the quotes, the tips, the videos and podcast episodes and so forth. You need to have that consistent content and have it, be branded and so that you're top of mind and you look professional, all that good stuff. But on the flip side, you also need those spontaneous posts where you're sharing what's going on behind the scenes. And I don't do it as much as I should either. So it's not like, you know what I mean? We're all there. But it's like you need to share what you're doing in a day that, your ups, your downs, what you're sharing with a client, what you're sharing with a project manager or property manager. Wins that you've had. So it shows that you're active and you're doing things. Um, and respond to people's questions. You need to go find new people to follow and like and comment, DM people, have conversations. It's all part of that relationship building and sales, efforts. I know everyone hates that S word, but you need it.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So how is it though? So can you get a little bit more granular on, so we're talking to the agent and just mind you, most of our audience knows me and they know where you say it's a struggle to share every day, or I don't struggle with that. In fact, I probably share too much every day because
That's awesome.
I enjoy this piece of it. Right. And I've seen the fruits of my labor
Yes,
and
absolutely.
but it's a long game. And that's the
Mhm.
thing that I think a lot of people have a problem with is
I
that
know.
either one, they don't have the patience. They want a quick return, which doesn't really exist anywhere. Two, they feel weird or private, right? One of the two. Like, I don't. I mean, should I really be sharing that, right? Should I really be
Right.
sharing whatever? Because I always tell people, I'm like, you want a good example of what to do, go find people that you find yourself gravitating to their content. The
Yes,
algorithm will tell
absolutely.
you, right? Because that's who you're spending time on. So I tell them, go stalk me because you'll see exactly what I'm sharing, whether it's my 2-year-old daughter, whether it's meetings that I'm doing, whether it's a meal that I'm eating, whether it's travels, whatever it is, I'm sharing it. Like I document everything. But I said, don't just learn from one person. You need about 5 or so, and then emulate and take little bits and pieces from each person and pack it together and figure out how to
make it your own.
Yeah, make it your own cadence, right? So when you're advising these real estate advisors, for example, and when we're talking about this specific topic, which is, sharing your life, for example, how do you get them to actually do it?
That's the hard part. So I do have a couple clients where I'm like, okay, I know you're busy, but I also know that you have a master class or you're doing this or you're talking to people every day about whatever your deals are and projects and funds. And I'm like, just text me in a day and like this happened. I can take that and spin it and like make 2 sentences be like, a story and make it like shine. So I do have them do that from time to time, but I'm like, honest to God, they just need to like book it in their calendar, like every day from 10:30 to 11, I'm going into social and doing this. If you don't put it in your calendar, it's not going to happen.
Sure. Yeah.
Like I even have clients where it's like proofing them for like material is like, give me my freaking stuff back. And then they're like, oh, I don't have time. I don't have time. And so I'm like, okay, on Mondays from this time to this time, sometimes we have a meeting and sometimes we don't. Schedule that time. And that's when you're going to proof my stuff. And then so they have like it's been better and they're on like it's in their calendar. And I'm like, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I agree with you. I think scheduling it is important. It's no different than prospecting. That's what I tell people. It's like,
Absolutely.
it is prospecting.
It is.
And that's what people don't realize. But the only piece I feel like sometimes gets left out is, okay, I put it on my calendar. Now that time came. What the hell do I do?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so to me, the answer is this. That's where you should be documenting as you're going along. So start shifting your mindset, start documenting what's happening in your life, pictures, videos, blah, move, right? Just get it in your camera. Then wait till you have the scheduled time, go back to the camera, and take some of those pieces, post them out, maybe schedule them to spread them out, and bam, there you go. So I love it. I'm glad you brought that up because it's a good,
And I have
big objection.
like one of my clients, he's a pilot and investor on the side. And I'm like how much time do you spend in an airport before you fly? Right? Like 2 minutes, like, and especially if you're in your pilot suit and stuff, I'm like, how freaking cool is that? And then just have like your phone and do like a 2-minute video. Like you've got that. And it's just like, oh yeah, I could do that. Like you just don't think of it.
Yeah.
And then, so if you're more aware of what you're doing in a day, like today I worked on a webinar and like I had a little hiccup and like how I solved it. I could easily do a video today about that. It's like things that you take for granted that you're like, oh, it's just my everyday stuff. It's like, it's not everyday stuff for a newbie. It's like, ooh, that's a good idea. Or like an app that you use to help you, or like, whatever it may be. You just sometimes you take your day for granted and you don't process it and think about it from a marketing perspective.
So, okay, so here's the next objection that I know you've heard this. Lyndsay, nobody cares. Nobody cares what happened on my webinar. Nobody cares I'm getting ready to get on a plane. Nobody cares. Like, why would I put that out there?
But people do care. That's the thing, right? Like when I'm going through posts and stuff like that and I see a video from someone or a post, honestly, it's like if and I'll tell you what I hate and what I love. So I hate when I see like an entrepreneur and like all their pictures are them being like perfectly in this gorgeous dress, pose, and oh, my life is perfect and so grateful and all that crap. And I'm just like, meh. Whereas like someone that is like genuine and like, hey, this flopped and it didn't work, and they're vulnerable. Like I don't see them less as an expert. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or they're sharing a win. I'm like, that's awesome. Like you sort of feel just genuinely as a human being, like more connected to that person. And yes, people do comment more on those personal posts, But by them commenting and engaging, you're establishing that relationship, but you're also helping the algorithm so that they will see all your other stuff.
Yep.
Because if your stuff is all industry and it's boring and it's like pre-crafted, I guess, then you're just going to fall behind on the algorithm and they're not going to notice that as much.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
100%. And I think to summarize what you just said about the question is nobody cares. First of all, stop worrying about people caring.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Second of all, you'll be surprised. People do resonate. They can relate to the things that happen in your life. And you're right. Like if you have 4,000 friends, let's just say on Facebook, maybe 200 of them will relate. That's okay. Even if there's just one, that one person now becomes a quote unquote raving fan of yours. Now you just played the algorithm game.
Yes.
Now more of your stuff's going to show up. Exactly what Lyndsay said. That's the point. Because I'll give you a stat. There's 5 billion people in the world that own a mobile device. And on average, there's at least 2 social apps on those phones on average. So for anybody who thinks that, oh yeah, social media is not relevant or social media, it's because here's the thing. And I don't know if you've said this directly, Lyndsay, but it's social media, not business media. Therefore, what Lyndsay is saying is the truth. Like you just need to be putting out content that is going to be relatable, that will catch more eyeballs, that will catch more engagement, that will catch more responses, more likes, more shares, more everything, right? And then all of a sudden, when you do put out that quote unquote boring content, guess what happens, right?
Absolutely. Because they give a crap about you. And the other thing I tell my clients too, because this isn't something that you can farm out, is that have a goal of like, I need to find 10 new people to follow, to DM, to comment, so that they in turn will follow my stuff. So finding prospecting your ideal clients and connecting with them on LinkedIn and so forth, because it's not going to happen on its own. And so if you have a goal in your mind, okay, I need to find 10 people in a week. I need to have 3 conversations. I need to DM 2 people. Then you're like, okay, I know what I need to do. It's not like this random, I'm just going to go in there and play around. You have focused goals. And by doing that on an ongoing basis, you will start to see things happen. And I'm sure you get this all the time too, Jeff. It's like, you're on podcasts. People are on your podcast show. You do live Facebooks. You're on social. And even if you're not getting like a bazillion interactions, people are like, ooh, he's doing all the things. Like he's everywhere. He's moving, he's shaking, he's hustling. He must be successful. All those things go through people's heads. And then one of the things that you alluded to earlier is that people are like afraid to put themselves out there, right? Totally get it. I was petrified. But I always thought if I at least help one person, or even if one person listens and they're like, ooh, that was helpful, then I'm like, I'm good. Like, honestly, I'm not like out there to like, oh, I need 1,000 views, or I don't know. I'm just not that type. Because I remember what it was like when I started out and I was like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I was looking to other entrepreneurs to like figure XYZ, or these little tricks and tips and just motivation or inspiration. You got to know what helps.
Yeah, 100%. And another favorite line of mine is, it doesn't matter how many followers you have, it's what you do with the followers that you do have.
Yeah.
That's what's important. But let me ask you something about what you just said. So you talked about the 10 touch, right? And so some of our listeners have probably heard that and may not know what it means. Some might know what it means, but I want you to explain to them what that intentional piece means. So you say, so let's use a real estate agent as an example. What's my ideal client? So it gets me thinking like, a home buyer, a seller, like what kind of intentional things am I searching for? And let's use Instagram as an example, because it's a very heavy hashtag driven platform, which means that's a library. That means you have something to search for, right? What's some advice you would give a realtor, and if they're struggling to even understand what that means on finding their ideal audience? So give them that first. and then explain the 10 touch system and kind of how that works.
You bet. So, yeah, thinking about your avatar is huge. And you literally have to go through the exercise of taking a piece of pen and paper and just think about your 10 best clients that you had in the past 2 years. Like they were stress-free, they weren't painful and annoying. You made good money on them. Not just every client that you've had, because some are better than others, right?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And then write down like everything, like do they have kids? Are they 50? Are they single? What kind of homes do they have? Are they like, all in apartments, or are they all in houses? Where do they hang out? Do they listen to podcasts? Do they go to the movies? Like, what are their passions? Like really get granular and figure all that stuff out. And you can do surveys and stuff, or, search them on social and find out the hard back end way. But then also you can think about, there's a couple ways you can go about it. So if you think of one of your ideal clients, you can kind of see, who are they friends with? Who's following them? Because likely they are also an ideal client because they're associated with that person.
Mm-hmm.
So then you can connect, friend, like, follow, whatever it is, them. The other thing is you can search by hashtags. So if you, I don't know, hashtag house sales in Orlando or whatever that may be, and if you are geographically specific, make sure that those localities are located or are in the hashtag. And then, okay, so who's posting using the word Orlando and houses, and, check them out again, follow, like, those kinds of things. And then you can even check out the people that are following you, and if they're living in your area, and then see who's following them. It feels kind of like creepy, but like you're stalking these people,
it's
sort of,
effective.
kind of,
It's
but
effective.
it works. I mean, Facebook does it algorithm wise with their retargeting, so you can do it manually. And then just DM them. I'm like, hey, I noticed that you live in Orlando, would love to connect. Or, hey, I noticed that blah, blah, blah. I just did an article on that. Maybe it's helpful, and send them the link. So don't be all salesy right up front or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, I noticed you're a friend of my clients. Thought it would be great to connect. Just keep it super low key, and then they'll end up liking your stuff, and then it'll just kind of grow, organically. And then if you see too, like they've got questions on their posts, or they're sharing, and I don't know, they have something on their house and you're like, ooh, that's gorgeous. That's the perfect example of curb appeal. Just commenting on their stuff, you know what I mean? Or if you notice they have a question, DM them, hey, I noticed you had this question. I've got a resource, or I know somebody that can help you. And be a great connector.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that like I advise people all the time is that, like, first of all, as a real estate agent, one of the questions in like a buyer's agreement or seller's agreement, or just whatever, whenever you're just getting to know a customer or just sitting down, one of the first things you should be doing in that sit down meeting or that Zoom meeting or whatever is getting their social media handles, or understanding or getting to know, hey, where do you spend your time? Are you a YouTuber, or are you an Instagrammer? Are you a LinkedIner? Are you a Facebooker? Are you several of them? And then go friend them, and then go stalk them, and then go show them love. Because the reality is, like, you know how it is, like networking 101. What do they always tell you? Like, ask questions.
It's all about
the
them.
person talk. Exactly. Because people feel good about talking about themselves. So if somebody shared something about their child or their grandchild or something that they did, and then you show them real love, right? A good comment, not some BS comment, not just emojis, but something thoughtful. They remember that. And so I'm in the mortgage business, and I tell my loan officers, what's your target? Real estate agents. So there's your target. Go find the 10 that you want to get to know. Give them consistent love on every single one of their posts. There is no better way to be remembered than being the one who's engaging their content, because it makes them feel good. You can't get better than that. Like, you can't get better.
Agreed.
Cold calls are annoying. Let me take you out for a cup of coffee. That's annoying. Hey, I have low rates, I'm accessible. That's annoying. But if you give them intent, right? And so, so again, for me, it comes from a different mindset. when you're talking to your real estate investors, for example, let's just say I am a real estate investor, what is something typical that you would advise if they say, what is my avatar? Is it on social media? Like, what is that avatar? Because a real estate investor is typically looking for maybe wholesalers. They're looking for distressed homes.
Yeah.
So how do you quantify that on the social media side?
But it's like, how do I put this? So, because there's so many real estate investing scenarios, so it's hard to pick one. But like as a wholesaler, let's say people that are actually, I know, I can't remember who it is, but he focuses on people that get divorced, honestly.
Mhm.
And then because they want a quick sale, right?
Yeah.
And then so all the language
Good for
on
a real
his
estate agent too,
website
by the
is
way.
what's that?
Good for a real estate agent too, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And so all the language on the website has to do with that focus and not just I'm a wholesaler and that's it. So really paying into the pain of like divorce is hard. It's tough. It's so emotional. The last thing you feel like doing is freaking repairs on your house. You just want to like get this thing over with.
Mhm.
And so, and then you can like follow like divorce lawyers or like, do you know what I mean? And kind of like get to know them. Or like there's like women's groups or divorce support groups or I can't think of any others off the hand, but like other people that also work with and help divorced people. You can kind of partner with them and get in their circles and work together, or just again grow those relationships for collaboration, partnerships, you name it.
I love it. I love it. All right, so let's shift just for a second, because we're getting long on time, and I want to hit on the topic where you said, when you're talking about content marketing and saying it's not just about social. And so I know this is going to resonate with some, and people are going to say, "Oh God, thank you. Please don't make it about social. What else can I do? What else is a good strategy for content marketing that isn't social media?"
I mean, it all touches social media, obviously, to get that organic traffic back to your website and get them to, opt in to whatever, join a webinar, buy your thing. But I mean, there's like, the point is that you want to share your expertise, whether that's through a podcast, a video, a blog, social, webinars, lead magnets, ebooks, books. It's just you're sharing your expertise to grow your authority, gain that level of trust, nurture people, and then convert. And so like email marketing is a huge one, because once you get people on your e-list, you can't for a second think that they're going to like say yes to you right off the bat. You have to nurture them and build that relationship. And even through like videos, like if you do blogs to show your expertise and your knowledge, then you can easily do a 2-minute video about that same topic or a subtopic of it. And then people can see your face on video and gain that trust more, and have that video on YouTube. You can share it on social media, super easy. But yeah, you just have to think of it are what ways can I share my knowledge to help others attract, build relationships and convert.
I love it. And so what's the best place to do that? Is it email? Is it text? Is it is it automated? Is it where is it?
And I hate saying it, it does depend on your avatar, because if your avatar is 60 and they don't know what Instagram is or care, or they're not, they don't listen to podcasts, then you're wasting your time. If your audience is all on LinkedIn, then you need to lean into that. And if they're, loving videos, then obviously just do videos and don't do blogs. You don't have to do it all. And you also have to lean into your own strengths, right? Some people are not comfortable with video. Some people like to write. Some people prefer podcasts because it's just audio. And even like your time restraints, like podcasting takes more work and more money. So it kind of, depends on those things. But as long as you do one thing and one thing well, and you're consistent with it, that is the key.
And Lal, I'm going to ask you, what would you say it works best of all of them, including social? What do you think is best?
To me, it's like, I think podcasting allows you to get more bang for your buck. Because it grows your visibility exponentially. You automatically get that authority status, whether you're a host or a guest. You obviously all share it on social and hopefully your email list and other ways. Social is, you can't ignore it. You can't not have it. It's just not necessarily the foundation from which it comes from. That would be blogs, videos, or podcasts, where you kind of like gold mine it and then make confetti and send it all out to social, if that makes sense.
Good. So you just brought up a good point. Two things. One is multi-purposing content, which makes life easier.
Oh, hell
right?
yes.
So explain that. And then I want to wrap up going into the podcasting topic. So first talk about the multi-purposing, which I think is important because folks, this makes you more efficient.
Oh, yeah, I know. And I'm all about logistics and being efficient, whether it's with the tools you use or the systems that you have. It's funny because people think, oh, I can't do a video on that because I just wrote a blog on it last week and people will know. They're not going to know.
Right.
And some people read and some people don't. So,
yep. And some people are on Facebook and some are on Instagram and some spend all their time on it. I mean, yeah, it's like you can share this stuff across all the platforms and be touching a lot of different people.
For sure. And yeah, like you have a blog topic, you could easily have probably 3 videos within that you could spin off real fast. You can record it and have a podcast episode from it. My favorite thing though, which I really should start doing myself, I have clients that do it, is like going live on Facebook, doing a podcast. So like you've got the live, you've got the algorithms with Facebook. And if you use repurpose.io, it'll strip the audio for a podcast. It'll push it to YouTube. So you take advantage of that audience and algorithms there. And then it also creates the rectangular video to go up in IGTV, the square one with captions. So then you've got all these little video snippets that you can start cutting up and using. And then you can get transcripts and grab quotes and, engagement questions and tips that are from that one piece of content. And you can like divide it up.
What was that site again?
The app, repurpose.io.
Ooh.
I know, it's my fave.
So explain that one more time. So you take a longer
I went a little fast.
You take a longer form piece of content.
Yep.
And upload that. Let's just say it's a video. Let's say I have a 7-minute video, a YouTube video, right? Longer form. And I upload it into repurpose.io. What happens?
I'm not sure if you can do that or not.
Okay.
But repurpose typically is that you take a live Facebook video, and then it automatically pushes it to YouTube. It strips the audio for a podcast episode, and it also creates those other social media.
What do you mean strips the audio?
It'll export an MP3 file to Dropbox. So it's just the audio version of that video.
Gotcha. It pulls the audio out. It removes the video essentially. Gotcha.
Exactly. And then, and pushing it to YouTube right off the cuff without you having to download and upload and all that hoo-ha. It just makes life so much easier.
Interesting. Now, when you put it into YouTube, do you also, does it caption it, keyword it? Does it thumbnail it? Does it do any of that?
No. So I use TubeBuddy to optimize. So then you fix the title, the description, the keywords, because YouTube has its own SEO, if you will. And then you put in a ton of description, what's in the video. You create your thumbnail with TubeBuddy, or you can create it yourself in Canva and such, and then put it in a playlist. You can add the captions natively in YouTube. We also connect Otter to Repurpose that pulls in the captions also. There's so many tools out there.
That's awesome. So as I promised, I want to finish on the topic of podcasts, because this is where we're covering a broad range here, but I think it all funnels back, right? I think a lot of people might struggle with just the concept of, okay, why would I podcast? And it's so diluted. Like, why am I going to stand out, or what's the purpose? Like, there's no way I can compete with the big names in the market. I'm not going to have 10 million downloads. I might not even have 50. So then what benefit is podcasting to me as a real estate agent?
And I love this strategy. So if you're a real estate agent, obviously within a specific geographical area, and I have a friend that was a website developer, and she did this as well, is that she became an authority and like a celebrity within her geographical area. So she invited other business owners on her podcast that she knew was an ideal client. And then it was like a foot in the door to have a conversation with them. And so interviewed them, and obviously it went live, and it was probably published in the newspaper and so forth. And they obviously shared it like, oh my God, I was on a podcast. And then so it was, she like converted a really good chunk of those people for her business. And so it was a way to establish those relationships with pillar people and businesses within her geographical area. So the podcast was really used as a sales tool versus like a visibility tool. And then really like people in the community were like, ooh, like she has a podcast show, like that's impressive.
Mhm.
And it just shows too that that person, the host, is also more integrated and more involved in the community and cares more about the community as a whole, the organizations, the associations, the nonprofits, the businesses and such. And when you're that integrated, you just make a bigger impact, and you just like raise your level so much higher.
Totally agree. So really, this folks, you've heard us talk about this. Maybe you've heard of somebody else talk about it. It's like the digital mayor strategy. And at the end of the day, I love how Lyndsay's calling it a podcast, and we just would call it an interview, right? And I think a lot of people do, but at the same token, you're almost taking a cliche, a buzzword, which is a podcast, which just kind of elevates the status of interview, right? And basically you're just coming from contribution. You're giving value to other businesses. Naturally, they're going to want to share it because they feel special, and
totally
it's broadcasting and promoting their business. So yeah, this is a strategy that, gosh, we've been preaching on this for years, and still to this day, there's only a fraction of people doing it. People do it.
Hardly any. It blows my mind. I'm like, oh, it's like such a huge opportunity. Like, can you imagine telling someone, oh yeah, I'm on Spotify and iHeartRadio, and like, you'd be like, what?
Yeah, it's just a status thing, and it does, and that kind of thing does matter. This folks is no different than 10 or 15 years ago when you saw that same real estate agent on the billboard, when you saw that real estate agent on the grocery cart, when you saw the agent signs in yards of a neighborhood, multiple homes. You just naturally think they must be the best. They must be the expert. Social media and this type of a marketing strategy, podcasting, being an authority, is just today's billboard, right?
Absolutely. That's so right. I love how you phrase that.
Yeah. So I love it. This has been awesome content. And I think for some of our listeners, this is validating. Like, how many of you are listening to this today and you've made it here and you're saying, yeah, I've heard it. Well, I'm going to challenge you and say, but have you done anything with it?
I know.
Are you
take
still
action,
sitting? Right. And this is why this is a conversation that can never get old, because one, it's going to constantly evolve. The TikToks and the Clubhouses, being an early adopter on those platforms is important. Because guess what? One or both of those platforms may be a powerhouse in 5 years. And the larger presence you have now, the more familiarity you have with it, the better chance you're going to have to succeed on it. Because how many of us said, damn, I should have taken Facebook a lot more serious when it came out, but I didn't. Or I wish I had gotten into Instagram 5 years ago, because it was
I know
easy to grow
there
an
are
audience.
A lot of fly by nights, but I mean, you just got to test it out, right? I mean, what's it going to hurt?
It's a little bit of time, but it's no different. How many of you have bought leads that didn't turn into anything? How many of you invested in a piece of technology that didn't turn into anything?
Totally.
Or door knocked and didn't get one lead? You still tried. And this is the exact same thing. So Lyndsay, I appreciate you get me fired up when we talk about these things.
Oh, that's good. I love that.
It has been awesome. So why don't you tell our audience, so if somebody wants to connect with you, because you do this, you coach people, you help them. And I know, I mentioned in the beginning, smooth business growth which is a website, smoothbusinessgrowth.com. You also have REI, marketingexperts.com. Where can someone connect with you if they want to connect? Where's the best place to get hold of you?
Yeah, I would definitely go to smoothbusinessgrowth.com and then go to the resources page, because there's like how to launch a podcast, how to promote a podcast, your roadmap to content marketing. I've obviously got a Facebook group for REI marketing group.com. So whatever stage of business that you're in, I definitely have a resource that can help.
That's awesome. So if somebody just wants to go stalk, would the Facebook group be the best place to be?
Yeah.
Awesome. Say it again.
reimarketinggroup.com.
reimarketinggroup.com. Go check it out on Facebook. Go to smoothbusinessgrowth.com. And did you say the easiest way to connect is through the resources on that website?
Yeah. And then obviously my social have links. And yeah, DM me if you have questions. I'm always available to help.
Awesome. Direct message for those of you living under
Yes,
rocks.
sorry.
That stands
Me and my
for.
acronyms.
It's okay. A lot of people will ask me that sometimes. I'm like, are you serious? You really don't know what DM means? Or my buddies, when I use short text talk, they'll be like, I'm not a 13-year-old girl. I'm like, dude, come on, man. This is just the way it lives. Wait till your daughters are 13 years old. You'll start talking that way. Yeah. Anyways, it's good stuff. Well, Lyndsay, I really appreciate you being on. This has been fantastic. Guys, go check this out. smoothbusinessgrowth.com, or go find her on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever the hell you spend time. You're an awesome resource. And I think anybody needing this help, you should definitely seek Lyndsay out. So thank you for being on. It's been great.
Yeah, it was a great convo. Thank you.
Lab Coat Agents Podcast.